A605D, it's Dr. Zitzman, and I'm going to talk about eco maps. Eco maps are really helpful for identifying areas of your client's broader environment. Generally, eco maps focus on the social environment, but they can also focus on the physical environment if there's anything specific in that as well. They may focus on primary relationships with individuals, or they could focus on institutional relationships. So I'm going to show you two different eco maps that come from this pretty cool website. The link you can find through Blackboard. socialworkhaven.com/socialwork-ecomaps is the website. So generally we start by putting our client in the middle of an eco map. You can either draw eco maps with your client together, or you can have your client draw their own eco map as a homework assignment and come back and talk about it. Either way, it gives a very quick visual overview of what's going on in this client's meaningful relationships and their environmental life. So here we'll see Bella, our client, is in the middle. We see that she has primary relationships with a friend, with her mother, a neighbor, a therapist, her school counselor, and her father. Those are individuals. Church is listed as a collective, an institutional organization of membership. The direction of the arrows tell me the primary direction that energy flows. So she is primarily receiving energy from church. She's primarily receiving energy from her school counselor and her therapist. And she's receiving energy from her friend over here. Bidirectional arrows indicate much more reciprocity, that there's a mutuality, that there's a giving and receiving that happens in terms of the overall emotional content of those relationships. So you see that she and her father, she and her mother, she and her neighbor have much more kind of mutual back and forth relationships where they take care of each other, they give each other good, or in this case, good energy. The quality of the line tells me something about the quality of the relationship. So what I would see here that's like most obvious is that church and father are these very thick and solid lines. So a solid line means a positive relationship, and the thickness means that it's a strong and positive relationship, okay? The counselor and the mother, the therapist, all these are, thin, but not broken lines. So that indicates to me that these are positive relationships. They're stable and sturdy relationships, but maybe not with the level of closeness or the level of intensity and passion that are in the relationships with father and church, okay? The dotted line here tells me that there's, it's something of a weaker relationship, right? It's not necessarily conflicted, but it's just not as close. So we might expect this from a neighbor, right? The neighbor is someone who you like wave to when you're getting your mail or walking down the street. A neighbor might be someone who Bella could turn to if her mom and dad aren't home yet and she needed some kind of help. But this isn't the person that she's like hanging out with, right? This is someone who's in her world, a resource in her world, and that's it. The relationship with the friend here, so what I'm seeing is that there's discord in this relationship. So the friend puts a lot of emotional energy onto Bella. The direction comes this way. There are two lines going that way, but there are these hashtags, which means there's conflict. At times, maybe they've broken up as friends and gotten back together as friends. Maybe they fight a good amount, but there's something that is going on in that relationship. All right. You can see down here, there's an indication, like a key that explains these different things. Okay. So this might give us a very quick view of Bella, and we might say, okay, where in this world can we, do we see balance? Like, where do we see her both receiving and being able to give? Where do we see that there might be the need for a little bit of change? So is there a way for us to kind of create a little bit of distance in this highly conflicted relationship and maybe generate a different friendship? Is there a way for us maybe to expand her connection with church because it's such a positive experience for her? Those types of conversations can come up with your client from looking at this eco map together. So I'm going to go further up, and on the same website, there was another example of an eco map. Again, we see Sally, we see the friend, and we see sort of similar things, right? But just again to note, this can be drawn out with your client. There's elements that are significant in their world, their environment are around them, and then you talk through the quality of the relationship. What's noticeable here is that her father is, like the neighbor was in that last unigram, where it's something distant. So here is a person who she potentially lives with, who is in her world where she gives emotional energy and love and receives it, but there's like a distance there. And I wonder, what is that about? Is that problematic? Is that not problematic? Is that something she's longing for and not getting? Or is that just something that she's accepted and doesn't cause her distress? So, but that is notable to me. Again, this relationship with a friend seems very, very intense, and that would probably be something I would want to talk about. She is getting a lot of support from her therapist, from her school, and from her church. So these are resources that we can always go back to and share or remind the client of if they are feeling like they don't have resources in their environment. We can say, but hold on, let's look at this again. You actually do have more people than you might have recognized. So eco maps, again, something that you can do on your own, that you can have your clients do, but certainly something that you can describe and talk through together as a useful tool. I hope that helps. Thanks.